That's the Chad play right there. All right.
Yes.
Stream have
Nope.
any audio right now? Oh yeah, it does. We're good.
All right. Well, everybody, welcome. We are live on the Casual EAL Twitch channel here. We have another exciting matchup for you tonight. Demacian division matchup between Incendium Gaming and Sentinels. I am joined by my esteemed companion, ZZ Dog.
Hello.
So we had a little problem with the draft lobby, but we are in the middle of pro draft right now. Incendium has already banned Morgana, Warwick, and Jarvan. Sentinels have responded with bans of Jinx, Talon, and Gnar. Incendium then has already picked Yasuo, Thresh, and Sivir, countered on Sentinel's side by Blitzcrank, Caitlyn, and Lux.
And then we have the second round bans coming in right now. We have Nunu and Willem, as well as Sejuani banned for Sentinels. Darius banned on Incendium. They're getting their last ban locked in now. See what that winds up being. Not surprised to see the Thresh and Blitzcrank picked first rotation though. Both these supports on their OPGG play a lot of hook supports. Like both play a lot of Pike and Thresh, so surprised at the Blitzcrank over the Pike, honestly. I feel like Pike's better, but interesting. And then Karthus ban. Last one for Incendium.
Yeah, I have to say, Incendium has really thrown the gauntlet down with the first pick of Yasuo, daring Scattercat to counter with something that he thinks is going to go up against that. Sentinels has picked Xin Zhao with their fourth pick. Switch over to Incendium for their fourth, and they have taken Fiora.
That's interesting. Blind pick Fiora feels a little weird to me. Especially like you're all AD. You're definitely gonna have to split push like 1-3-1 with Yasuo and Fiora in side lanes. And I mean, they should win most matchups, but I don't know, especially Sentinels right now, all they have is is that a Malphite jungle?
It looks like they're hovering Malphite. Yes, it looks like a Malphite pick, so they are going to jungle Malphite.
Okay, now I really don't like their comp. Especially the Fiora. Everything else is fine, but Fiora feels so out of place there. It's like you will really want to 5v5 hard with Yasuo and Malphite Sivir, but then you just have this Fiora who's always want to AFK in the side lane.
Yeah, it's definitely a comp that doesn't feel like it has a lot of great synergy. Fiora is really good into a lot of matchups, but she can also get countered pretty hard. And we have Sentinels matching the Fiora in the top lane with a Garen, which I think is a pretty good pick.
Yeah, I think that matchup's definitely Garen favored. Just a lot of Demacia in this draft. Fiora, Lux, and Zhao Garen.
It
Got
does
the
fit the
noble
division,
buff
doesn't it?
going on, man. Timely TFT jokes, those aren't out yet, right? Alright, now we can actually get the pick ban on stream, so it'll be a little bit easier to talk about.
Ah, come on. What's the worst that could happen?
I feel like Yasuo is definitely good into Lux though. Also, so I don't know. Lux into Yasuo feels really bad for the Lux, especially if Yasuo is like, because Yasuo's super mobile, so he's hard to land E onto. Plus, he has the win wall for the Q.
Yeah.
It's easy to all in with Yasuo, so I feel like that's a bad counter pick, but
I agree with you there. Lux's basically entire kit is countered by Wind Wall, so a strategic use of that basically gives Yasuo free reign to farm, push, and roam. His mobility does make it hard to land Lux's skill shots, and Lux does struggle a little bit early to clear waves, even if she procs her passive on all the minions.
Yasuo just switched from Exhaust to Smite. I doubt he's gonna keep it, but that's an interesting one if he does.
Perhaps a little troll pick coming up there in case they are trying to make people think they're going to jungle Yasuo.
No, you gotta get the double smite so that you can take both Scuttles level 3 and put the Xin behind. That's another thing. Like, Xin has so much early pressure, and Malphite jungle just doesn't. Like, Malphite jungle is one of those picks where it's like good in theory but god awful in practice, because by the time you get to a point where you can gank, unless the enemy laner is just horrendously out of position, they'll just walk away from you unless you're 6. And if you're waiting to 6 to be able to gank, you might as well just be playing a Skarner or Nocturne, because they do that better. I mean, I guess they just really want the Malphite knock up for the Yasuo, but
Yeah, it looks like that may be what they're thinking, but it seems like they could find a better option in the jungle.
like, I mean, Gragas is up right now, and Gragas is great early too.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious what they're really going for here, because Gragas would also provide more AP to help balance their damage.
Well, clearly it's just full AP versus Mage Malphite, so they're gonna have tons of AP damage.
Yeah, an AP Malphite ult will one shot a squishy by the time you get towards late game. So let's not underestimate that.
If it's actually AP Malphite though, then you don't even need the Yasuo, so it feels a bit weird. It's like, I don't know. I feel like Gragas is almost always better here. I feel like there's other jungles you can go if you want to knock up.
So let's take the lanes one by one here. We're waiting to finish the loadout screen, and then we'll begin the spectator delay. Let's talk a little bit about top lane. We already mentioned that Incendium has taken Fiora, and Sentinels has countered with Garen. Now, both champions do a surprising amount of damage early. It's much more a skill matchup on Fiora's side. She's got to dash around and proc her vitals, whereas Garen more or less just spins at you and clubs you with his sword. How do you see this lane going? Do you think one or the other is going to have a dramatic advantage?
I definitely think this is a Garen favored matchup. The thing with Fiora into Garen is, like, if you riposte the ult, you'll win every single time. But Garen doesn't need to ult you, he'll win a trade. Like, he can just walk up and Q you, and then you can't Q away. It's really hard to proc a vital because you don't have your dash. Once you get like 2-3 items, Fiora starts winning that matchup, but until then, Garen just has total lane prio. Plus, you have the stronger early game jungler, so that should definitely go over to Sentinels, I believe.
Yeah, I think I agree with you simply because of the silence on Garen's Q. I think that's going to limit a lot of Fiora's mobility. So we'll see if Aelin Roll is able to play that the way we think he should. And that's a good transition into their jungle. I think there's a big mismatch here, and we've kind of talked about it a little bit. Malphite, it's one of those ideas that's been around a while, and you see it every once in a while in your solo queue games. He doesn't have a great clear speed. He doesn't have any kind of gap close or mobility until he has his ult at level 6. So he just kind of AFK farms, and that's going to give Xin Zhao a lot of windows to impact lanes early. Do you think we'll see? Do you think we'll see Sentinels try to take advantage of that and gank at level 2?
I doubt we'll see a level 2 gank. I don't. It'd be really surprising to see like a red top gank. Like, I think it would be good, but I doubt that it's gonna happen. The one thing I find really interesting, I looked for the game on Professor GG so I could see what runes everyone took, and Malphite took Electrocute. So we said AP Malphite as a meme, but like it might actually be AP Malphite.
We might actually be in for a real treat here. AP Malphite with Electrocute. Wow. Okay.
Uh, we already touched on Lux into Yasuo. That's definitely just heavy Yas favored. It's not even close, I don't think, unless the Yasuo just gets ridiculously aggressive and just eats a binding on accident. And Malphite's not gonna turn, or Xin Zhao might turn that, I guess, because like Xin Zhao just has so much more pressure than Malphite early. Like that's the problem. Like you have winning lanes for both sides, but the jungle matchup is just so incredibly mismatched that I feel like almost every lane could just be turned by like jungle pressure. Also, Sivir probably shoves in Caitlyn early, but and she outscales, but I don't think that they'll win the lane. Like Caitlyn just is so oppressive and can poke you down. Like even if Sivir gets the early shove, that just makes it so that Xin Zhao can come bot lane because he's really strong level 3,
Mm-hmm.
and then just gank and turn the lane, and then Caitlyn comes to lane with BF Sword and destroys you. So I don't know. I feel like if they just had an early game jungle on the side of Incendium, they would just be so much better off. I, I feel like either you have to switch the Malphite out for an early game jungler, and then you have 3 winning lanes, or no, you have 2 winning lanes, but you'll have something to play around, or you need to swap out the Fiora for something else because it's your one losing lane, and it's the one lane that doesn't want a team fight. But when you do neither, you just kind of wind up with this weird amalgamation that I don't know how to feel about.
Well, the wait is over. We'll see how they plan on utilizing this Malphite. We are loaded into the game. And Sentinels are already pinging actively towards the bottom side of the river. And it looks like we may have some level 1 shenanigans coming up.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Thresh Ward to try, they're not going to get anything off
30
that.
seconds until minions spawn.
They're actually 5ing in a very smart position there. They're staying out of range of the ward that could be in Tribush, but now they're walking through it, so they'll see it.
They will see this, but Incendium is pretty spread out. They don't really have a good answer for this if they decide to go for it.
Yeah, they just back off. Malphite starts blue instead of red. We'll see if Sentinels can actually just steal away the red buff. I don't think they stay for it, but maybe they will. Looks like they are. Yeah, okay, they'll just trade reds. I think that favors Incendium actually, because now your Xin Zhao is starting bot side, which means he's gonna wind up top, and so he'll be at the one winning lane that he can gank like super well level 3 earlier, as opposed to starting topside and pathing down to his losing lanes. And I think that's better. Like a lot of jungles like to gank losing lanes, but I find ganking the winning lane is usually almost always going to wind up better for you early on like this, because you'll have the level advantage. But we'll see how the pathing goes.
Yeah, so both junglers have moved to vertical jungling as we kind of expected here. Nothing out of the ordinary. A good Q trade from Garen in the top lane that more or less played her out the way we thought it was.
He's got a kind of unlucky vital on him now though, so he can't walk up to CS. Looks like Yasuo's starting to get the early shove. Oh, no, he's actually going to try and freeze the lane in front of his tower. I wonder if he's suspecting like the early level 2 gank from Xin Zhao, since he knows he started bot side on his red. Because if the Yasuo wanted to, he could definitely take the shove here. And there's the win wall we were talking about, so now he just wins the trade. Actually, he took a really bad trade there because he didn't have NATO, actually. So yeah, that's a really good trade by Scattercat.
Yeah, he got his shield off at a good time. The Lux did. Yasuo came diving into the minion wave, so he took some extra damage from that. Yeah, that actually could have gone a lot worse for Lux.
You see, since I was taking the bot side scuttle now, he might be looking for the gank mid. Staying out of vision. Yeah, this is really free. This is the early pressure. Oh, okay, yeah. This is just the early pressure you get from having a Xin Zhao. You always have to be aware that he can just gank you at any time, and since you have a Malphite, you will always lose 2v2. I'm really surprised they didn't keep chasing that, because Garen roamed so much earlier than Fiora. I can't help but think that's a mistake. I guess Lux was like out of mana, so maybe that's why they thought they lose that 3v2, but...
Yeah, I mean, Lux is pretty dependent on her abilities at this level, because without her passive, she doesn't have a huge amount of damage. That may have been why they decided to hold off on that.
Yeah, bot lane, Super's getting the shove early as she should, but she is down CS actually. It's relatively even, but a little incremental advantage for Caitlyn there. Garen's down a wave top side, but he has a wave pushing towards him, so that should balance out. Yeah, it's pretty mellow early game, all things considered.
Yeah, it's I would think that with Xin Zhao they'd want to try to force the issue in some different places, but they seem content to kind of let the lane play out on a kind of on their own.
Blitzcrank's doing a really good job of zoning Thresh away from this coin. Bot lane, like, I saw like 3 coins down there that he just missed, like, just 2 gold and 1 mana, so that's pretty unlucky for the Thresh. Because usually you should have more gold generation from coin than you would from relic. Right now, Blitzcrank actually has more gold than Thresh. I'm really surprised the Xin Zhao hasn't backed yet. This feels like a horrendous mistake as a jungle player myself. Like, especially because you pathed from your Krugs to top lane, didn't get a gank off, and then instead of backing, you walked all the way down to bot side to clear again.
Yeah, the more than one full clear without backing definitely feels bad, because now you're losing out on experience.
Oh, and now he's desyncing his camps too, because he took Prompt but did not take the Wolves. So those will spawn at different times, and the Scuttle just spawned when he backed. So that especially feels really bad as Xin Zhao, because you want to fight for those Scuttles because your power is so much earlier than the enemy junglers as the Malphite. So not being alive, like not being out on the map for that Scuttle is just really unfortunate, because now he doesn't have anything to fight for. He's going for it now and losing time.
Yep. Now it looks like we might have some action here in the bot side river.
Yeah, that's a bit of an ambitious dragon. Just gonna pull off that one. Your Malphite's down a level too, so there's no real way that you can secure that.
Zinmu didn't clear out some vision they left behind, so that's a good play on their part.
It's an interesting first back from Xin Zhao that I don't particularly like either. I think as any jungler, especially the early game ones, you want the claw fields early. You don't want to go the smite, because like if you had claw fields right here and you ever saw Malphite, you would 100% win a trade. Malphite has blue smite, and you have like 25 AD from claw fields plus hail of blades, and you're playing Xin Zhao. Like, you basically just one-shot him, but because you go challenging smite instead, you can't burst the Malphite as quickly, and you can probably just walk away with his slow.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because not only do you get the extra damage from Caulfields, but there's also cooldown reduction on top of that. So you get the extra rotations off in extended trades and skirmishes.
Yeah, I feel like Zinzao really like should look at his pathing a bit after this one. Not like I'm not trying to rag on him too hard here, but like he's getting out CS by this Malphite right now, and like he just got a. Are they not gonna? Okay, yeah. So he just got a good gank off mid lane, but like you should never be behind CS to the Malphite jungle. You should be invading him constantly because he simply can't fight you. Like he just there's no eventuality where you lose, especially when you're a level up right now.
We just saw a great takedown of Yasuo in mid lane, followed by Incendium's bot lane roaming up and trying to make a play. They didn't get anything except for Lux's flash, so we'll have to remember.
I mean,
that's probably a worthy roam at that point, because
yeah,
Lux
all you're trading for that is Shiver Ult, so I doubt you're gonna use that anytime soon anyway, because neither team has been playing particularly well around bot lane this game.
Yeah,
It's a good
so
hook by Thresh there. It's a good trade on the Blitzcrank. Since I was hovering around bot side again. Okay, he's just gonna go for the clear now. See, this is interesting because I wish I could check. Wait a second. Can I? Okay, Zinzao has like the teeniest little XP lead over Malphite, and that's just what Malphite wants. Because the Malphite has been able to cycle Krugs more than Zinzao, because Zinzao's just been hovering bot lane so much.
we have a gank top. Malphite ulted, but unfortunately, the follow-up was not there, and Garen was able to walk away.
Still hovering bot side. He's finally making his way up top. He just hasn't been able to really have the impact you'd like to see from this this early on. And okay, looking at that second buy from Malphite there, goes the Fiendish Codex. I think we're gonna see the full AP burst Malphite.
Yeah, that's headed into Runic Echoes for sure.
Zinzao, I don't think was paying attention there, has to burn his flash. Face check the Thresh he has vision of. It's a bit unfortunate, but a good hook by the Blitzcrank there. And Caitlyn also secures it, so that's a good roam up from Sentinels. That was interesting. I feel bad because I don't know if you do play-by-play, but I'm certainly not good at it. So it feels like every time we have these long extended fights, it's just silence because like you're expecting someone to go in and no one does.
I definitely can't talk fast enough to do good play-by-play. That was quite a fight mid. Lux picking up the double kill. That feels real good for her.
I'm really surprised that Incendium actually wanted to go for the re-engage there. It feels really odd to me that Yasuo would all in that after they had already lost the Thresh. Maybe they think that like, especially because I don't think the Yasuo had like backed yet, or not for a significant amount of gold. I'm actually rewind and check. But oh no, okay, he just did, yeah, he doesn't have Shiv yet. Like he had backed, he has the same items now as he did then, but if you don't have Shiv yet on Yasuo, your burst is just almost non-existent.
Yeah, you really need that static shift proc to really help with that initial Q to stack the tornado.
Since I was hovering towards top side, he's in vision. Looks like some miscommunication there. gets the Fiora flash though, so that's good. I think he was standing in vision though, so I don't know if Fiora just didn't quite see him in time there, but
Yeah, it
pretty
looked
sure
like
he was on top of that pink ward.
he was. It looked like Fiora and Garen were so busy trading that he probably just lost track of him on the mini-map.
Blitzcrank's just getting exploded there. Yeah. Roamed up, but didn't have vision of Malphite, so got that, but managed to secure 2 back here, I think. Okay, so that's... Garen actually got solo killed top lane during that. I'll back that up and see how that happened, actually. Ah, okay. Yeah, Fiora managed to repulse the Garen ult, and there's nothing Garen can do after that, so that's a bit unfortunate. You know, that's pretty good for Incendium now that Fiora's winning the side lane. Because that was my main concern, is that your 5v5 is like strong other than the Fiora, and she doesn't have a winning lane matchup and wants to split push against a Garen who she shouldn't beat. But now that she's actually managed to turn the matchup, she should be really strong in the side lane, and the 4v4 definitely favors Incendium. And I think they outscale as well in almost every position, so...
Yeah, I think I agree with you on the scaling issue, and if Fiora is able to start split pushing effectively, I do think Sentinels is going to have trouble responding to that.
Fiora actually has a 2-level lead top lane now. That's really huge. Because she has the rank 2 ultimate, and Garen doesn't even have level 10 yet. She's actually did like half his health there.
It's kind of surprising it is 2 levels. Garen is close to leveling up, but he's not there yet. Fiora really should be trying to take advantage of that while she has that advantage.
Malphite's giving away the red buff to Yasuo, so maybe he'll manage to get a good all-in mid lane. He gets level 11 off that too, so... And he's finished his stack shift. He definitely one-shots Lux if he can get a combo off on her. Thresh is looking for the gank too. Going in. He has Moby. Flashes the hood.
Clutch win wall there.
Incendium does have pressure in both side lanes though, so like while it's nice that they managed to avoid the kill onto the Lux there and stabilize the mid a bit, they lose so much pressure for Sentinels on the side lanes now. Like it's good for them that they've managed to like not have 2 losing side lanes until after 14 though, so there's no chance of getting play gold. But if you just kind of let the game state stay as is, especially with the scaling on the side of Incendium, I feel like Sentinels just loses what. That was an unfortunate play by Yasuo. He wanted to go for the flash Q buffer with his tornado, but he flashed too late, so he tornadoed and then flashed afterwards. So the Lux managed to get up and secure the kill on Fiora before she died. That's a feels bad man moment right there.
Ooh, nice Yasuo ult there. You secure the kill back top lane. It looks like Incendium's going to be on a free dragon after that.
Pretty big for Sentinels though. Garen did get the shutdown on Yasuo. I don't know if it's going to be enough to swing the matchup back in his favor, but that's a 700 gold kill, so that's going to feel pretty good. If nothing else, like maybe make it a little bit more livable.
Well, not only that, but Garen's caught up in CS. Fiora had a pretty good lead there for a while, but as of right now, Fiora's only up 1. They have equal number of kills, and Garen has 2 more assists, pad out his gold there, so he might actually be ahead right now. I'm going to take a look at gold real quick, and yeah,
500.
Got a 500 gold lead there. That's that shutdown gold from Yasuo for sure. Yep, he just finished Black Cleaver, so that's a pretty nice play for him.
Alternatively, though, there's an 800 gold lead for the Yasuo over Lux now after he got like 3 kills in that exchange top lane. So that's gonna feel really oppressive for the Lux now because Yasuo has the 90% crit as well as the BF sword. So if you ever get tagged by a Nado, I think you just instantly die.
Yeah, they're gonna have to be real careful about watching that. Oh no, Kate is up a little bit too far here. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, you hate to see that one. Garen
Yeah.
does have free reign over the top side lane though. Looks like Incendium is starting to run up though, to try and deter that. But I think if you're Zin's out here, you solo Herald. Like, because you're going to lose that bot tower either way. Your mid lane's pretty stable, and your Garen has top pressure. You definitely can just walk up there and take it. Plus, you have the Scuttle, and you have a pink ward on it. You know they don't have vision.
Yeah, you got plenty of vision control on the river. You know you have vision on 3 people bot side. That was a free Shelly there for the taking. So they need to be a little bit more cognizant of that in the future. And you definitely have to play around your objectives.
Yeah, I feel bad because I feel like I'm really ragging on this Zinzao, and I'm not trying to mean it as like a mean thing, but he's like, for lack of a better term, he's been waffling a lot. Okay, they do start to go for the Herald now, but I think this is actually incorrect because now your Garen is backing and your mid lane is now shoved in, so he no longer has bio. So now the Malphite can just roam up, and Yasuo can roam before your mid lane, so you can't take it anymore. Yeah, it's a little bit too late on the play there.
A little bit of a scrap bot lane. We had Sivir pop her ult and try to get under tower, but unfortunately a nice sidestep allowed them to dodge the thresh hook, and everyone kind of walked away.
Ooh. That's a bit unfortunate for Malphite. He whiffed his ult, so Zinzao does get away, but they do manage to take out the Lux on that 2v2.
Yeah, and there was your point about the getting hit by the tornado and you're just gonna vaporize, because that's exactly what happened there.
You know, back to the original point on Zinzao though, because apparently I'm his #1 hater. He's done a lot of like waffling or just like he's looking for ganks, but if he's going for that type of playstyle, he should go early sweeper because he's standing on vision a lot of the time, so he can't get anything. But he's investing so much time. He's just now past Malphite in CS, which is something you really hate to see on an early game jungler. He had like kind of awkward back timings because he was trying to gank lanes, but then couldn't, so he backed. But then he gave Malphite free scuttles. It's like I would really like recommend you look at your routes a little bit, like because it really is a matter of if you see someone somewhere on a map, you should be going somewhere else. Like if you see their jungler bot side, you should be doing something top. So when you're standing around like waiting for a gank mid lane on top of a ward, if you have sweeper, you'll at least know that that's not possible, and then you can make a play elsewhere. But like when you're standing on top of a ward, their Malphite is just free to do whatever he wants.
And I think that's actually worth pointing out. You mentioned that he's standing on ward a lot. Credit where credit is due. Incendium's done a really good job of getting their vision out and pushing it to where it's useful and helping them see the motion of Zinzao. Like that's a really good play, and it's hard to get right as the game goes along and lanes start breaking down. They've really done a pretty good job of that. If you look right now, the top side river has they got Scuttle Crab, there's a stealth ward in the top lane river brush, they have a pink in the river. They know if anyone's crossing that into their jungle or in that river.
Setting up the Fnatic bush right now for Incendium. See if they can get a hook here. Sivir actually initiates the fight. That's interesting.
Nope,
Jumped the gun a little bit. That's a very good Malphite ult though. Yeah, and Yasuo's just cleaning house. He's just very fed. That was a very ambitious flash by Yasuo. I don't know if I was expecting that one. Flashed over the blue buff wall to try and kill Lux, but then Lux just flashed over a different wall and managed to get out. She could actually pick up something, but no, they had flashes and just engaged.
Yeah, I appreciate what Lux was trying to do there, but at that point the fight's over. It's time to just disengage and walk away.
Yeah, especially because you've waited so long that Yasuo got wind wall back up, and then it's just doomed. What's the gold looking like now? It's about 4. It's only 3.5k up for Incendium, though. It's still not an insurmountable gold lead. The problem is just like all of the carries have the kills. Usually you'll see a few slip through, like the Malphite's building tank now, which I don't know if is a result of him not getting any of the kills or if that was planned from the start, but interesting build path there. I do like it. It's like you can just tank the Lux and the Caitlyn damage because they're so behind if you have Stone Plate. Just ult in and pop it afterwards, and you just let Yasuo do all the work because he's so ahead.
Ooh, there was a good flash by Zinzal to dodge the hook. That was certainly he was going to be dead if he doesn't. So, good play there. All right, they're putting Incendium's putting pings down onto the Baron.
Yeah, Sentinels don't have any vision on this, so I feel like it's pretty free. Fior's waiting in the bush.
Yeah, this is a good call on their part. Sentinels had 2 bots taking the tier 1 tower, no vision. So this was a nice aggressive call. I like this a lot.
That was a very awkward engage. I'm surprised it actually went that well for Incendium. Because the Thresh managed to land a hook over the wall onto Zinzao as Fiora took the lantern back over the wall. So it looked like nothing was going to come of that, but then... Oh, that's unlucky for Lux. Just barely making it out there for Thresh. Oof.
Walked away with 20 HP.
Yeah, hate to see that.
Feels bad, man. Feels bad.
And now...
Be real careful here, because Yasuo could dive this in a heartbeat.
And the problem for Lux is, yeah, she's just gone. No, especially because now that Incendium has Baron, Lux just doesn't have wave clear anymore, and that's how they've primarily been stalling out the game, is Lux has such good wave clear. But now you have to rely on this Caitlyn with 2 items who can't really clear the wave too effectively, especially when Yasuo just win walls it. Malphite's finished his Stone Plate as well, so he's pretty unkillable at this juncture.
Yeah, the gold lead was only a couple thousand a few minutes ago. It has ballooned now to, I think we're at 8,000.
Yeah, I think they've doubled it in the past minute.
Yeah, between all the kills and some turrets going down here, and I suspect we're going to see more turrets fall. Incendium taking away Zinzal's jungle camps. That's going to hurt him as he loses gold and resources. They're kind of just playing around in the jungle right now. You've got Baron Buffett. They really need to kind of make better use of it. They could probably crack the base here if they grouped and pushed. Instead, they're trying to death rush.
I actually
don't
think
know
you
that's
should
the right
definitely
play.
set up a 1-3-1. No one can fight Yasuo in the side lane, and no one can fight Fiora in the side lane.
Yeah,
that was
true.
a weird Thresh hook. That definitely, I think, should have hit the Garen there, but it's a bit unlucky.
Sivir taking a chunk of damage.
Okay, Yasuo's actually roaming up the top now, so I like that. Fiora's hovering towards bot. I think they should just dedicate her bot lane, and then if anyone ever shows up to like really beat the solo laners, then they'll just take mid tower. I feel like the 1-3-1 is just so lethal at this point. I kind of surprised they're not going for it. Also, I'm surprised that they're splitting with the Yasuo but not the Fiora. I feel like you could 4v5 with Yasuo there, but definitely not with Fiora.
Yeah, they're not even, I'm not even sure they realize Yasuo's in the top lane. This is going to end up being real bad for them.
Oh, that's a great Malphite ult. I mean, I said that I thought they needed Yasuo, but I guess they just don't. Fiora just destroyed everyone there. Yeah, it's probably game. The only person left up for 20 seconds is Blitzcrank.
Yeah, Incendium should be able to close this out right here.
Been destroyed. Red team.
Well, that was a valiant effort.
I actually thought the Blitzcrank would have pulled the Fiora and found it. I think that Yasuo doing that actually doesn't. Yeah, they can end the game. Oh, that's a yikes. Oh, that's unfortunate for Kaylin that the Malphite doesn't die to that. That's what the stone plate's for, I guess. No, I've been there, guys. I've been the one on the end of the fountain dive that couldn't end the game. That's a heartbreaker. I think they still have it though.
Yeah, I'd be really shocked if Incendium wasn't able to close this out. Unfortunate they weren't able to do it there, but their gold lead is up to almost 10,000. 2 inhibitors down, and Incendium's almost certainly going to get a free dragon here if they want it, and then they can pressure bot lane at will.
I feel like you just 5-man run it down mid here. I don't even think you really need to push the bot. Your 5v5 is just so strong. You're up, let's see, 9k right now. Your Yasuo's at 3.5 items. It's like Malphite hits 2 people with ult and you just win the game. Looks like they are gonna do the measured approach though and run it down bot. Yeah, Sentinels has to like split up and go to the side lanes to deal with the super minions, so should definitely be a free outer. We'll see if they fight over the inhib tower or if they wait. I feel like you definitely want to fight around the inhib tower if they're actually going for the bot lane push instead of just going mid. Definitely the highest percent that you win the fight, but even then it feels pretty unlikely. They don't want to give up that outer tower though.
Yeah, they're gonna,
Fiora's gonna have. No, not gonna hit.
They need to make a stand here. This is their last tower. This is their basically their last opportunity to win a fight.
Lux needs to go get health. Get the spell shield out of Sivir there. This Crank Hook does not connect though, and she'll be fine and just lifesteal up. Well, actually, she sold her door on this blade for a dagger, so she actually won't lifesteal up.
Alright, that should be just about it. There's super minions on the Nexus.
Somehow I keep winding up and find the actual time frame. I don't know how. It's like I'll speed up to catch up to it and then I just fall behind again.
And there we go. Incendium closes it out. Well, I think what we saw there was kind of what we talked about in during the picks and bans. They drafted stronger lanes, and even without the early jungle pressure, they were able to eventually use the constant pressure they got in the lanes to turn that into some advantages that pretty rapidly snowballed out of control for them.
Yeah, I'd like to see a different answer to the Yasuo game too. Like the Lux did pretty well in lane, but it's just like once Yasuo gets an item under his belt, there's not much you can do. He gets like the fatter win wall once he hits level 8, and then you just can't land a skill shot. I'd like to see if they actually go for the Yasuo again in game 2 for Incendium, like some like melee bruiser to take it to the Yasuo. I feel like Scatter's good enough that he could definitely take it.
Yeah, I'm guessing he thought that it was going to obviously end up differently than he did. I'm sure we're going to see a change to that strategy for game 2. Scatter was okay fairly early in lane. In fact, I think at one point he was up something like 3-1 in kills, fairly even in CS. But unfortunately, as the game went on. The Yasuo just did Yasuo things. Yeah, we're looking at the damage champs here. As expected, Fiora and Yasuo leading the charge. Sivir not far behind. Luck's doing work for her team, and Garen as well. But yeah, unfortunately, they didn't have all the damage that Incendium did.
Yeah, no, that's a yikes from me on the Xin Zhao damage. That feels pretty bad. Just couldn't have the early impact that he was looking for there. I'd like to see him go for a more scaling kind of jungler. I think if you go like the Sejuani or something, it'd be a bit more his playstyle from what I've seen. Something more tanky feels like it would be better, in my opinion.
Yep. So I think I'll be very interested to see where we what the adjustments are between games. Especially, I'm curious to see if Incendium changes up anything. They I think they